Welcome to Sports Talk with RKJ. I'm your host, Steve Rister, here with my co-host, Kyle Galuli. Justin Nafrio is enjoying the sunshine of Florida this week. He is out this week. So we'll start with the NBA, and pretty much now the offseason is pretty much done now that Russell Westbrook's been traded. He was traded to the Rockets for Chris Paul. Pretty much the offseason is done now, and it really makes for a lot of interesting duos in the Western Conference. You got Kawhi and Paul George with the Clippers. You got LeBron and AD with the Lakers. You got obviously Clay and Steph with the Warriors, and now you got Harden and Westbrook with the Rockets, and in the Eastern Conference you got Durant and Kyrie. So you got really five great duos in the NBA right now.
Lots of parity,
and this might be the worst duo because of the way they might not be able to play together. I mean, who's going to be the point guard? Who's going to play the two guard position? I was listening to Charles Barkley. He said that that Harden has to be the point guard. Westbrook's got to give up his point guard duties. The problem is, I don't think Westbrook can play off the ball. He's never been able to really play off the ball his entire career. I just don't think Westbrook can play off the ball. I think Harden can play off the ball better because Harden has played off the ball a lot in his career. Harden just didn't become a point guard until a couple of years ago. But yeah, I don't know how Westbrook's gonna be able to play off the ball. I mean, I think that's going to be really hard for him. But still, they're both two top 10 players in the league. The Rockets, even with those two guys, are still a title contender. The question is, can they get by the Lakers or the Clippers? That's going to be the big question for the Rockets. Can they get out of the second round of the playoffs? Can they take that next step? Which they got to the conference finals last year, lost the Warriors. Got to the conference semis this year, lost the Warriors. Can the Rockets take that next step? That's going to be the big question for them going forward. But yeah, I mean, another question is, how do these two? How does this work? How do they make this work? How do Westbrook and Harden make this work?
I don't really see it going terribly well come postseason time. Regular season time, I mean, it's going to work because they both can get triple doubles whenever they want. The problem is, if Harden's going to be the point guard, Westbrook's going to be the shooting guard. The one major problem with Westbrook's game is shooting. So, like, unless you're gonna like drive and then kick it out to Westbrook and then he'll drive. I don't exactly see how that would work, because I feel like the best way to utilize talent is for Westbrook to mainly be the point guard, and then you can mix it up with Harden and like do like his ISO game stuff, which he's probably the best in the league at. But the problem is, when you have so many ball-centric, or two really ball-centric players that were, the player on their team for the past, handful of years, and then you join them together, it's just, how is that going to work out? Yes, I understand they were with OKC, but Harden wasn't Harden in OKC. He was, compared to the Rockets, Harden compared to OKC's Harden is nothing compared. He's so exponentially better. And in Westbrook, he's gotten better, but the problem is he can't shoot at all. He really can't even shoot free throws anymore. So when it comes to the clutch time, I mean, I think you're still going to give it to Harden, but Westbrook's still going to want his. Westbrook isn't a beta. He's an alpha to the fullest extent. So is he going to be willing to give up, the ball when, the time's necessary in order to maximize Harden's potential? And the thing is, when they had Chris Paul could shoot, so he could play off ball a good amount. There was no problem with that. Problem is, when it comes with them, I think out of all those duos, probably the worst ones, and worse is, I mean, still not bad because the duos now are insane, is probably between Westbrook and Harden and Kyrie and Durant. And the only reason I say Durant is because you don't know how he's going to be coming off his Achilles. Him healthy is probably right there with the best players in the league. You can easily argue he is. Coming off his Achilles, you never know how it's going to be, because if it ends up, not being 100% when he comes back, or, and he's getting used to and he's timid, he ain't going to be himself. And then you never know if it just happens again. I mean, he easily could be, a shell of himself. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it's going to be interesting next year. But I feel like now with Golden State's Klay Thompson being, hurt for most of the year, if not all, we'll see. And then Durant obviously not being in Golden State anymore, now being in Brooklyn. There's no, dynastic Golden State Warriors super team anymore. So now there's parity for days. Because to me, I would watch regular season basketball, but I was never like truly interested in it because I always felt like it was going to be Golden State versus, you know, maybe one or two teams coming out of the East. Now you have you can make probably an argument for, you know, all 8 of the playoff teams in the West have a viable chance to make it, you know, to the title and possibly win it. And then you have a good handful, maybe 3 to 5 teams coming out of the East. So you have a lot of parity this year. And it's like, hallelujah, finally, because that was always the problem with the NBA.
You talk about parity. I mean, you look at the Western Conference. I mean, obviously the Lakers and Clippers are definitely championship contenders. I still think the Warriors are, even though they might get a six, or maybe even a 7 seed. I still think they're a championship contender because obviously when healthy, they have 3 top 25 players with Steph Curry, D'Angelo Russell, and Klay Thompson. And then you look at the Rockets. I mean, they're with those 2 players. Yes, they might not play well together, but they're a championship contender. You look at the Nuggets because I mean they got 2 rising stars with Jokic and Murray, so you can consider them a championship contender. And you go over to the Eastern Conference. The Bucks are clearly the favorite with Durant out. They're clearly the favorite now with Durant out.
But I really think though with them losing Brogdon, how much is that going to hurt though? Because he was a 50, 40, 90 guy.
Yeah, he was. But
I just think because with him being able to shoot. Now, obviously, I think Giannis is good enough where he's going to figure it out. But I think it's going to hurt, especially come playoff. Because you need to spread. That's why I think come the trade deadline, they're going to need to get another shooter. Though.
But Kyle, Kawhi's out of the Eastern Conference, and they still have Giannis and Middleton, who were their 2 best players last year. So I think they're clearly the favorite in the East without Durant, because Durant's going to be out the entire season next year.
Yep.
So you look at it, it's probably like 5 or 6 teams who now have a legitimate shot at winning the championship, and you got a lot of competitive teams too. I mean, you got the Celtics, you got the Sixers. The Sixers, you could make a case if Ben Simmons steps up. They just paid the Sixers just gave a max deal to. I mean, you can make a case they're a contender. The Celtics, I think they're going to be a little bit worse than they were last year because Kemba is a downgrade over Kyrie, but they definitely can be a contender if Tatum makes that jump, because Tatum didn't have that great of a year last year. If Tatum makes that jump,
him and Kyrie, that was just painful.
Yeah, that just didn't work. So there's a lot of teams. It's going to be a lot more. It's going to be a different NBA. Kawhi changed the way Kawhi ended the super team era.
Thank God.
Yes, Kawhi being the Warriors ended the super team era, and not signing with the Lakers, he also ended the super team era, going to the Clippers and making his own team with him and Paul George. So it's going to be a really interesting NBA season next year. But let's talk about one team that's now in huge trouble. That's the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got Chris Paul, but he's past his prime.
Yeah.
I think right now, and Chris, he definitely doesn't want to be there. You could say right now the Thunder are clearly not a playoff team, and they're going to have to trade Chris Paul. But the problem is that contract is not tradable.
Well, I've been seeing stuff that the trade talks have stalled. And so he said now it's actually very likely that he is going to start the season in OKC. So, I mean, I don't see him lasting there past a trade deadline, but...
Me neither, no.
That is just... You talking about, not that he's like completely irrelevant now, because he's definitely not. I'm not going to be that disrespectful to the man, but... At one point, he was one of the best, if not the best point guards in the league. And now you saw, where he started. Then he went to the Clippers, and, it was all the whole Lob City thing, and they had a bunch of noise around. It was like a bunch of noise, but not a ton of substance behind it. And then he goes to Houston, and then you could very easily argue that, not last year, but the year before, if Harden doesn't get hurt, or sorry, not Harden, I don't know why I said Harden, Chris Paul doesn't get hurt, they'd probably be Golden State.
And they'd be Cleveland in the finals,
and probably 6, if not 7. Yeah, and they probably are going to, end up beating Cleveland. So, and then he gets, then it's just not working this year for Houston, even though, we all know they were going to lose to Golden State now in that series. And now he's on OKC, and that team's going to be irrelevant. I mean, in terms of OKC, just think about it. At one point, they're in the finals. They have Serge Ibaka, Westbrook, Durant, and Harden.
Yeah, that's a big story. They have Westbrook, Durant, and Harden.
Yeah, and it's just like the fact that Ibaka could be a good 3 and a very good 4. 4th best player in the team. The fact that you had Harden, who's one of the top 3-5 players in the league. You have Durant, who you can argue is now the best player in the league, or with coming off the Achilles, we shall see next season. And Westbrook is a top 5-10 player, whatever you want to say. And now that is all gone in the span of they went to the finals and lost to Miami in
2012.
Yeah. And now, after this past season, none of them are there. They went from building a homegrown, dynastically talented team to now restarting, being irrelevant and having nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Sam Presti did a great job building that team, but now it's broken down. He's got to rebuild that team again.
He systematically built up that team and then systematically destroyed the team.
Yes. Going from one player that can't shoot to another player that can't shoot. The Sixers gave Ben Simmons a max deal, 5 years, $170 million, only after 2 seasons where he really has only averaged about 15 points a game. I mean, yes, if he could shoot, he gets a jump shot, he's going to be a great player in this league, but he has to get a jump shot. He needs to work on that jump shot. And getting paid all this money, do you know if he's going to work on that jump shot or not? We don't know.
I mean, I don't think so, because I was watching... one of my favorite shows to watch is LeBron's The Shop, and there was an episode where he was on there, and he was talking about that people were talking about his jump shot and how he couldn't shoot and all this, and that was part of the episode, and that him, that he was going to work on it, so on and so forth. And it seems like he never has worked on it, because it's not that he takes 3-pointers and doesn't, make a majority of them, like, let's say someone like Giannis. He just doesn't take them. So if you don't even take them, the perfect way to play defense against him is just look how LeBron played him last year when LeBron was healthy. He literally sat back to almost the free throw line and just guarded everything around him. So it's like, learn to shoot. I don't care if it's you gotta hit up someone like Steve Nash or Ray Allen, or I don't know, I mean, ask Reggie Miller or someone that could shoot to at least teach you. I don't understand what is so difficult about that. Or maybe I don't know, maybe he has and they just said no. But the fact that you can't shoot as a point guard and people can sag off of you, which then takes away passing lanes, which then takes away his best ability, which is his vision and his passing ability. So it makes you such a lesser point guard than what you could be, because when him being about 6'10" roughly, that's Magic Johnson size. And I'm pretty sure he's faster than Magic, has a better, athletic ability than Magic. It's just dude, learn to shoot something at least. You at least be an okay jumper where they got to respect it, because that would open up so much of the floor for everyone else and make your game better, which then makes your team better record, more wins, more likely championships. It just all will help everything. I don't understand why he's not doing it.
And he really needs to step up, because the Sixers didn't re-sign Jimmy Butler so he could become to save cap space so he could become this kind of player. They just chose to re-sign Tobias Harris. They got Joel Embiid. I mean, he needs he needs to figure out how to play with Joel Embiid. He's got to figure that out. These guys, the Sixers have 2 potential superstars and 2 guys that could potentially keep them in playoff contention, keep them in championship contention for years to come. They got to figure out how to play together. Because remember last year, I mean, even with Simmons not having a great year, they still were 2 points away from beating the eventual NBA champions.
Yeah, and they very easily, if they get past that, there's a very likely chance that they could end up winning the whole thing. Because especially when you see what ends up happening with Golden State with the injuries. And the one move I feel like that is very underrated move, but is also super important in terms of the Sixers, is them losing JJ Redick, because he was one of those guys who would just run around screens a la kind of like Ray Allen, especially when he was with Boston. And he was an amazing 3-point shooter. Now you lose that. It's so you lose your 3-point game, which is, you're not 3-point game from him. So it's going to, shrink the court more. People are going to sag in a little bit more, which then is going to make potentially Ben Simmons' game a lot more tougher to score in a paint like he does and pass it out. The thing with Embiid is, I think you could say right there, maybe with Jokic, that he's probably the best big man again. The problem is Embiid doesn't stay healthy. If Embiid stayed healthy, I feel like he would be better than Jokic. The problem is he never is, and also with him being so dominant in the post, sometimes I understand you can shoot 3-pointers, and yeah, it's good, 3's more than 2. But if it's so much more likely that you're going to, maybe draw a foul on someone, or, just get a regular, layup, a dunk or something like that, don't stop taking so many threes. I don't want you just to be sitting over there in a corner like you are Ray Allen. Maybe if it's a pick and pop type scenario, okay, I'll live with that. But stop sitting there. You're not Ray Allen, Embiid. Just stay there, because that team with him, Simmons, and Harris, that's a very good trio. Tobias Harris he's a solid 2. He's a very good 3. You have something that it could be very, very potentially special, especially in the East. With now Kawhi being gone, Now they have size to, battle, Milwaukee and see if they can, get past Boston, because Boston seems to kind of have the numbers. See what happens this year with that. But just work, Embiid needs to work on his conditioning and all. It seems like he doesn't take that stuff completely seriously like he should. And Ben Simmons needs to work on jump shot. If you work on those two things, that Sixers team could be very, very special.
Yeah, I mean, they could be, and we'll see what happens next. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Sixers do. If Ben Simmons takes a big leap and becomes a superstar next year, I think the Sixers are in that title contender conversation with the Clippers, with the Lakers, with the Warriors, with the Rockets, with the Nuggets, and with the Bucks. They're in that conversation, but right now they're not, because Simmons is not a great player yet. I mean, he's still he's a good player. He's a 6'10" point guard, tough to defend when he gets to go to the basket, but he's not a great player yet.
Yeah, he needs to just unlock his full potential by getting a jump shot, because obviously that contract that they gave him, it's not based off of what he's done previously, because if it was based on what he's done previously, I mean, still get good money, but he wouldn't be getting that. That's just completely based off potential.
Yeah, it's based off
which I don't blame him. You have to pay him,
he's a number one pick. It's based off what they think he's going to be.
Yeah, because really right now there's no point guard in the league that has his height, his athletic ability, and his vision and his passing ability. No one has that. Problem is, there's other point guards, like right now, you probably wouldn't take Ben Simmons maybe your top 3 point guards. He might be a little bit after that, but there's other point guards you take over.
You wouldn't take him top 5. Arguably, maybe not even take him top 10. Yeah.
And with that ability that he has, he should be right up there with the best point guards in the league. Right now, I ain't taking him. So it's come on, you need to work, especially with such a glaring weakness. I just don't understand. Why aren't you working on that? Because especially when you don't take any. I mean, come on, he hasn't. I don't think he's made a 3 in his career.
He's not made brutal. He's not made many.
Yeah, I think he's maybe taking something roughly about 19 3-pointers or something like that, and he's made none. And then there was a string of in the playoffs this year. I think it was 3 or 5 games, something like that, where he scored single digit points. Now, if you're getting something say 10 to 20 assists and double digit rebounds, okay, yeah, it's good. But he wasn't doing that. So it's when your point guard with that freakish ability is rendered somewhat useless, that's not good. Especially come playoff time. Everything gets tighter. The talent's better in the playoffs. You can't be scoring double digits or less than double digits. Come on.
No, not at all. Not at all. So we'll transition into the NFL, and there's been a lot of NFL news this week with franchise tags, with the Madden rankings, and with Zeek and Baker's news. So we'll start with the franchise tags in the NFL, and we'll talk about the team that re-signed one of their guys who they franchised. That's Grady Jarrett. The Falcons signed Jarrett to a 4-year, $68 million deal, and you're probably familiar with him in the Super Bowl. He definitely got some pressure on Tom Brady. Yeah. He could stop the run. He's actually related to, I think him and Ray Lewis are pretty close. I don't know if it's a cousin or something. I'm not sure about that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But he's not Aaron Donald or Fletcher Cox, but because he doesn't get to the quarterback as well. But still, he's one of the top defensive tackles in the league. He had 6 sacks last year as an interior lineman. He's good against the run. I think the Falcons had to re-sign this guy.
He's not tier 1 DT, but he's definitely upper tier 2.
Yeah. I mean, 4 years, $68 million. I think the Falcons needed to get this deal done, and they did.
Absolutely. He has the ability where he's not only a strong defensive tackle, but he has the speed. It's not to the level of Donald. Obviously, no one is, and no one probably ever will be. But he is very talented, and he is easily the best player on that D line. And
most consistent. Easily that 1 year in 2016, but he's the most consistent.
Yeah, and it's just he has such freakish ability where you need to start building stuff around him. Maybe get an extra, maybe Vic Beasley could finally become what people were thinking, or we can get another piece in that and just take the pressure off him where he's not constantly getting double teams and all that. That's what you need ASAP, because he has such ability to. He could beat you with the power. He could beat you with speed moves, and then comes the run game. The guys don't push over when it comes to the run game, so he can do everything. So they had to pay that man. There's no way they're gonna get around that.
Oh, not at all. They had to, and I mean, they had, because he's probably I'd say outside of him and Deion Jones, we're going to talk about, is I think are the two best players on that defense. They had to pay Jarrett. I mean, he's making a lot of money, and the problem is the tackle next to him is not good at all. So they really don't have that run stuffer in the middle. So he's got to pretty much do everything, as a 3 technique, get to the quarterback and stop the run. He's got to pretty much do everything on that defensive line. I mean, they had to pay him. I think, and I think that's going to be a really good decision for them.
Yeah, I mean, they needed to pay him, because I feel like even when in the Super Bowl that they lost to the Patriots, the defense of that team, I feel like it's the weakness, because obviously they can run the ball, obviously they can surely pass the ball. You obviously know with Julio and now, drafting Ridley, last year, and having Mohamed Sanu and all that, they can pass. So if that defense could come together, that team is gonna be, a very strong team, and potentially come playoff time. I mean, you never know. It's win in advance, lose and go home. So 1 game playoff.
Exactly. So the Falcons signed another one of their guys. They gave up to a 4-year, $50 million extension to Deion Jones. Deion Jones, he struggles tackling. He's not the best tackler, but he might be the best he might be the best linebacker in the NFL in coverage. I mean, his speed is unreal. He is great in coverage, Deion Jones.
Oh, absolutely. He is. I feel like in terms of coverage, I put him up there in terms of kind of like Kuechly, like Bobby Wagner. I would even say you can maybe put up Miles Jack or Telvin Smith. Telvin Smith's not going to play this year, but he has freakish athleticism. I mean, you don't see that from linebackers that much. You normally see it's almost like safety athleticism that he has in a linebacker body, which makes him just insane, because he can fly, sideline to sideline. You can see him struggle to tackle. You saw it, especially I remember one play in particular against the Patriots when they were going down and tie the game in the Super Bowl. Kind of a little angle route to James White. He over pursues terribly. Gets past him, gets an extra maybe about 3 to 5 yards. But yeah, I mean, again, you gotta pay him, because like you said, Grady Jarrett, Deion Jones are easily the 2 most important people on that defense. And I think that defense, if it could stay healthy, because it seemed like everyone got hurt last year. I mean, you name the starter. Oh yeah, they got hurt.
Deion Jones missed 10 games last year. Keanu Neal got hurt. Ricardo Allen got hurt, and even Grady Jarrett missed some time too.
It had to be painful if you were a Falcons fan, because your team obviously doesn't have its full potential there. But if you have him there, who are their other linebackers?
Devondre Campbell.
He's solid, but ain't great. I mean, I don't know if technically Vic Beasley's a linebacker, but even if he is, he's okay. I mean, ain't Deion Jones. You got to pay that man, because if you let that man walk, it ain't going to go well for you guys. So you had to pay him, and I mean, rightfully so, because if you have him, Jarrett, the defense is going to be solid there. The secondary, if they don't get hurt, it's going to be solid. Their offense is going to be, very good. So, especially in that division, it's going to be one of the tougher ones in the league. I mean, you got to have everyone at full strength, especially you want to have them focusing on football instead of worrying about, am I going to get that contract? Have that lingering back of their head, maybe think about that instead of playing to their full potential.
Exactly. So we'll talk about another guy who wasn't franchised. I'll talk about a guy who wasn't franchised, and that was Jadeveon Clowney. And I mean, the Texans didn't want to give him a long-term deal. I mean, it is tricky there, because they're gonna have to eventually pay Deshaun Watson a lot of money, and they might not want to. I mean, they might want to next year in free agency improve that offensive line, which is not good at all. So
or do anything. I'd find Joe Schmo off the street, and maybe it'll be better than their O line.
So yeah, they don't come up with a long-term deal for Clowney. He's probably gonna miss a little bit of training camp, and the controversy here is, what's he gonna get paid as, franchised as, a linebacker or a defensive end? Because yes, he's that 3-4 defensive end that mostly is kind of like a 4-3. He's a 3-4 outside linebacker that's mostly like a 4-3 defensive end.
Yeah, he can't drop in the coverage.
Yeah, but still, because the defensive end that price is $17 million, and the linebacker is $15 million. So if he's franchised the linebacker, he gets paid $15 million. If he's franchised as a defensive end, he gets $17 million. So and the Players Association wants to file agreements with the Texans if they franchise him as a linebacker, they want to make him money as a defensive end. So it is a weird situation.
Just agree to in the middle and agree to 16.
I know, exactly. Yeah, it's not that much money. It's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Clowney is the fact that in terms of pure freakish athleticism, height, speed, jumping, power, he might have the most combined out of any player. I think you can argue in the entire league. The problem is he doesn't have the technique. If you put him with a guy, let's just say someone like Belichick, let's just throw it out there. Let's say he was on there, and yet someone that would just teach him the technique. I think Clowney could be one of the best defensive players in the league, if not the best. And he would end up making Hall of Fame if you teach that man some technique, because he has ability. We all saw. I mean, just look up Jadeveon Clowney Michigan hit. Voila, there you go. It's just, if imagine him with technique along with someone like they have Whitney Merciless on their team and JJ Watt. You could probably send 3 people the whole game. You would be getting pressure. Like, I don't understand why he hasn't learned the technique. Maybe he just has relied on his ability his whole career, and that's slowed down him learning his, learning the technique and all that and perfecting it. But I don't know, but it's going to be interesting because, let's just say he plays out this year on a franchise tag, whatever, maybe 15, 17 mil. And then he hits free agency. That dude's going to get a contract in the first 2 seconds of free agency. He's going to get big money, and then the Texans are going to lose him. And then bye-bye. Then you're going to lose your defensive future of the team. So they got to figure that out because, I mean, it's not like it's a terrible. I mean, yes, $2 million to the average person. Yes, that's big time money, no doubt. But in football terms, I mean, like, just meet in the middle, 16, and call it a day. I mean, geez. Just call it a day. And because the longer this lasts, Clowney's going to be out of camp, and he needs to, like I said, work on a technique. So you need to figure this out quick, because the longer it goes, the worse it's going to be.
Yes, and the thing about Clowney is, he's a really good player, but he's never had more than 10 sacks in a season. So are you going to pay him? Are you going to pay him $17 million a year? I don't think he's worth. He's really good against the run, but I don't think he's worth $17 million a year to pay when you have to pay your quarterback and you want to improve your offensive line. So yes, the Texans don't have a GM right now, but the way they're thinking is, we want to improve our O-line. We want to make sure Watson, because Watson's our franchise quarterback, so we're going to pay him. Watson's going to get at least $28 to $30 million a year when his contract is up too. So
you never know. It could end up being more depending on what Mahomes ends up getting.
Exactly. So I mean that's why I don't think that the Texans are probably going to end up getting a long-term deal done with Clowney. And I wouldn't mind Clowney going to the Giants. I wouldn't mind the Giants resigning.
I wouldn't mind any.
I wouldn't mind the Giants. I wouldn't mind the Giants getting Clowney because he fits that 3-4 scheme perfectly. Yeah, next year, because the Giants are going to have a lot of cap space. They're probably going to Eli's contract will probably be off the book, so the Giants have a lot of cap space. I wouldn't mind him going to the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, that guy has the pure athleticism to guard guard against pass, because he can't cover, even though they attempted that and it's failed miserably. He can rush the passer to the fullest if he learns some technique, which is it's painful to watch it because you just see the athleticism, but you don't see the technique. The run game, now, the guy's very good against the run, and the guy can hit, the guy can chase down backs from behind when they're running away from him. But it's just, the problem is the fact that when you have a contract just like a holdout last, it never works out, no matter who it is, whether it's a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, O-line, D-line, linebacker, safeties, corners. It never works out. Yes, you might get your money, but come season, come to regular season, it never works out, ever. It's just, I understand why people do it, because get your money, because it's football. One injury away, and your season and career could be done. But just work it out, because you need to make sure, because the Texans are one of those teams that I feel like aren't super, they're not super intense, but they're the top tier too, where maybe they get a lucky bounce here and there, they could possibly be a contender, and you need Clowney to be there.
Exactly. You definitely need Jadeveon Clowney to be there, because he definitely helps that defense with him and JJ Watt. That defense, that's a really good tandem there. So we'll talk about Ezekiel Elliott not showing up, who's threatening not to show up to camp until he gets a long-term contract. And the thing is with Ezekiel Elliott, he has 2 more years left on his deal. After this season for the Cowboys, they got some really tough decisions to make. They got Dak Prescott on the final year of his rookie contract. You got Amari Cooper on the final year of his rookie contract, and you also got Jalen Jalen Smith in the final year of his rookie contract. So there's so many decisions the Cowboys have to make.
They're going to be showing
I think
big money.
I think this is very selfish of Zeke to do something like this for a team that is they're kind of like the Texans. They're not a tier one. They're not in tier one in terms of being a championship contender, but also a bounce here, bounce there. They could make a run. So I mean, I think it's very selfish of Zeke to be holding out a camp. And this is another distraction Zeke has caused for the Cowboys. Remember 2 years ago when he had that incident and he caused a major distraction. He had that pending suspension. He caused a major distraction for the Cowboys in the offseason. Now he's causing another distraction for the Cowboys in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, even like think about that. All those people they're going to have to pay. Then they're going to have to pay, Byron Jones eventually, and that guy's going to get big money. And I know Van Der Esch, it's only rookie.
I don't know. They may let Byron Jones walk.
But just potentially people that are going to command big money. And Van Der Esch, he was playing like how he did his rookie year. He's going to get big money down the line. So it's like you have so much young talent, honestly. I would just trade Zeke at this point, because he's in the fact that you're arguing when you have 2 years left. Plus, they can franchise tag him if you want. Yes, it's going to hurt the Cowboys if if he holds out and if that goes into the regular season. But if you were able just to trade that man, and I understand it's going to hurt a little bit, but at least get a first round pick for him and maybe a decent running back behind that O-line is still going to do good. Now you need Dak.
Yes, but Kyle, that O-line is not what it was in 2016.
Oh yeah,
that O-line is wearing down a little bit.
It's not, but at the same point, Zeke, if you extend his contract down the line and of how much he means to that offense, he's going to start wearing down, and you never know with his off the field issues. It's like every year something else pops up. Like he has some off the field issue, and it's just the fact that do you want to go through that headache year after year, off season after off season? Honestly, I would just try to move him, because at some point you got to make a decision, because you're not going to be able to pay everyone. You don't have unlimited cap space. This is a hard cap league. You're going to have to, obviously you're going to have to pay Dak, even though he definitely ain't elite, but you're going to have to pay that man big money. You're going to have to pay Amari Cooper, because there's no way you're letting that man walk after trading for him. There's no way that's ever going to happen. You're going to Byron Jones down the line, Jalen Smith down the line. You're obviously going to have to pay Jalen Smith. You're not letting that man walk. So out of everyone there, out of all four of those players, being Zeke, Dak, Jalen Smith, and Amari Cooper, I'm letting Zeke. I'm not going to let him walk, but I'm going to just trade him, because you're going to have to sign those other guys, and you're not going to have the money down the line if you want to keep a viable team.
I disagree, though. I think he is definitely the best player on that offense. I think, I'm not for paying running backs big contracts. His running back is not a premium position in the NFL. But with him and Saquon Barkley, you look at what Todd Gurley made, and Todd Gurley's kind of set the market. That's why Melvin Gordon and Zeke are holding out. But I think this is one of those running backs you have to pay. He's a top 2 running back in the game. Him and Saquon Barkley are the top 2 running backs in the game. You have to pay Ezekiel Elliott, I feel like, because I don't know if that offense is going to be able to go. You saw that offense when he was suspended. Some of those games, they looked ugly for the Cowboys. They looked really, really ugly for the Cowboys. So I think, yes, he's a headache. Yes, he's had off the field troubles. But I think if you're the Cowboys, you have to pay Ezekiel Elliott. And here's another thing: you cannot afford to pay Dak Prescott more than I said this on my NFC's preview on Monday. You cannot afford to pay Dak Prescott more than $30 million, because he is not worth that kind of money. He's a good to above average quarterback, but he's not worth $30 million. He's arguably not a top 15 quarterback in this league.
Yeah, he was the way he is. I feel like the perfect comparison is probably Russell Wilson, probably that year before they won the Super Bowl, where he was big on, he wasn't a game man. He was the step above game manager, where he was he could manage the game. You wouldn't really rely on him to throw for 400 plus yards in a game, but he would come up big and clutch on third downs, which is what Dak is. And the thing with Dak's contract is people are like, well, take a hometown discount. This team, they're shutting you. And I can understand what they're thinking about that, but if you understand it from Dak's point of view, I think his argument is, listen, I've already taken a hometown discount. That's my rookie contract. I outplayed that to the fullest. He's probably the most underpaid quarterback. I feel like you can argue that he's one of the most underpaid quarterbacks for what he's done so far. I mean, the guy was making dirt compared to what he was should have been paid for what he done, especially after Romo got hurt and they put him in the game. The problem is, yes, Zeke is probably one of the top 2-3 running backs in the league, but it's like, what are you going to pay Zeke and then let Jalen Smith go? Or are you going to pay Zeke and there's no way you're letting Amari Cooper go after trading a first round pick. So you're not letting him go. Are you
There's no way you could probably let that go because you can't roll the dice at quarterback.
Yeah, because then you're going to have to start over at the quarterback spot, and that's the most important position in all of football. So you're going to let Jalen Smith go. You can't let him go. The problem is, it's like it's like a lose-ish situation. That's why I would just trade him for someone that's like a viable, decent running back. Someone's mentioned. How about if you were the Texans? Let's put this thing. Someone mentioned this, and I thought it was actually a decent. Hey, what if you traded Zeke for Lamar Miller in the first, right there? Now Lamar Miller's not an elite running back, but he's good. You get him, and you get the first round pick, and maybe you draft that with a running back in a draft with the first round pick, or maybe you move it and you can do a ton of things with that, and you can get that decent backup because how much Zeke's ultra talented, but he has all the off the field issues. Do you want to deal with that noise? I mean, you're already the Cowboys as it is. Zeke's gonna make noise every single offseason, and then come down the line, you're gonna have to pay even someone like Byron Jones and even Van Der Esch down the line. So it's like, how are you gonna deal with that? Is the issue because there's only so much cap that you have. So you're kind of said it's a lose-ish situation in my eyes.
Yeah, the Cowboys are going to be in for a lot of difficult decisions because they got a lot of good young players. They're going to be in for a lot of difficult decisions down the road. So here's a comment where I think Baker Mayfield crossed the line with Giant fans. He definitely crossed the line with me, and I'm going to read what he said in his interview with Mika Kimes about Odell Beckham because Baker Mayfield crossed the line with me. Baker says, talking about Odell, he's here to work and he wants to be surrounded by people who love and support him and allow him to be himself. And I'll stop there. Allow him to be himself. Odell Beckham being himself hurts the culture of a team. Okay, he's got to mature. Okay, yes, he's a great competitor. His talent is off the charts, but he needs to mature. So him being himself hurts the culture of a team. Right?
No one pushed him to do the stuff with the kicking that.
No one pushed him to have that complete outburst in that Carolina game either. So yeah, him being himself. It hurts the culture of a team. Here's another one. He's here to play in front of fans who actually care and actually show up every game and pack the stadium and love him for who he is. Okay. You're going to tell me Giant fans don't care, which is complete nonsense. I mean, complete nonsense. Yes, they haven't been packing the stadium, but this organization the last 6 years has not been good at all, and the fans are frustrated. So they're not going to. What do you expect? They're not going to pack the stadium. You think the Browns fans packed the stadium when they were going 3-13 and 1-15 and 0-16? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So you're going to say, no, these fans don't support me. Giant fans supported Odell Beckham. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. I wasn't completely in love with Odell Beckham, but I supported him. You ask Joe, our guy who runs, you ask Joe Aguirre, he threatened his fanhood when the Giants got rid of Odell Beckham. So don't sit there and tell me the fans didn't support Odell Beckham. That is complete nonsense of Baker Mayfield doing that, and he's completely crossed the line with me as a Giants fan, and I think he's completely crossed the line with Giant fans. You want to go after Dave Gettleman for making a dumb move? Go ahead. But Giants fans had nothing to do with Odell Beckham being traded. Absolutely nothing. That's on Dave Gettleman. That's not on Giants fans. So don't go after Giants fans for the fact that Beckham got traded or they didn't care about Odell Beckham. Giants fans did care about Odell Beckham. Did you see all the jerseys Giants fans had? Odell Beckham jerseys the Giants fans had? They had a ton of Odell Beckham jerseys. So don't give me the nonsense that Giant fans didn't care about Odell Beckham. That is complete nonsense from Baker Mayfield there. Yeah, that's where you're crossing the line. Worry about your own team. Worry about your own fans. Don't go after another team's fan base who had nothing to do with the situation at all.
Because I would say it. The reason why I think he's doing that is one, that's just his mentality and just who he is. He's a controversial kind of guy. Now, yes, he is stepping boundaries because Giants fans cared. I mean, obviously, you saw they were packing the house and they were, booing them when they, did good. Or sorry, when they're booing them when they did bad and cheering when they did good. It's just, you could tell that Gettleman was lying from the get-go when he said, we didn't sign him to trade him. It's like, he kind of did. Like, you essentially knew the guy was going to be gone because it wasn't working out with him, especially after the stuff with the comments that were made about Eli. And now Eli is probably on one of the. He's definitely most beloved, probably.
He's the most beloved quarterback. He's one of the most beloved players in Giants history. He's one of the most. You saw when he got back. He's one of the most beloved Giants players in history.
And now, but I understand now what he was I understand because with Eli, now he's not that good now, and I understand Odell's comments. I kind of agree with some of the stuff about Eli, but at the same point, even if I agree with that, if I'm in his eyes, you can't say that in front of everyone. You can't say that to me. That's stuff you say behind closed doors, and you talk it out. Now, in terms of Baker Mayfield, his energy that he brings, I feel like that's just him to help galvanize Cleveland, because obviously Cleveland hasn't had anything in Cleveland football. Cleveland Browns have had anything ever since they come back. They had the one good year in 07 where they were decent.
10-6, they almost made the playoffs.
So it's other than that, they've been terrible. 0-16, then 1-15 the year before, I think.
And the fans were really packing the stadium. Come on now, dude. The fans were really packing the stadium when they were 1-15 and 0-16. I'll show you videos of those games where the fans were really packing the stadium, Baker. Okay?
1-31. Now then once they got some problems with Baker, they started packing the
of course, when they had a star, they got Baker Mayfield, they started, and Jarvis Landry started packing the stadium.
The thing is the fact that what he needs to learn with Cleveland is the fact that you have a rookie head coach, which before that hasn't had any real success at his, position that he's held. Now all of a sudden he's become a rookie head coach with some very big egos on that team. Like Jarvis has somewhat of ego, but it's not terrible. Odell obviously has an ego. Baker has an ego. Not as a bad thing, but you need to keep it in check. Now you have talent on the D-line, and kind of the defense, in pretty much all spots. You have talent at wide receiver. You have talent at tight end. You have talent at quarterback. You have depth and talent at running back, especially when Kareem Hunt comes back from his suspension. You have talent on the O-line. This team has potential. This is the best team the Browns have had easily since they've come back. Now, how are they going to deal with expectations? Because last year, yes, once they got rid of Hugh Jackson, I believe they won something like 7-2. Yes, that's very, very good, especially for Cleveland. They were probably like, oh my God, we're the greatest team ever. But you need to realize it's different when you're the hunted. When you're nothing, people aren't going to expect. They're thinking, oh, it's Cleveland. They kind of take it easy, and then they realize Cleveland's no pushover, and then they get caught with their pants down, and then they end up getting beat. Now you have you have high expectations. People are going to be coming at you. People are going to be giving you 110% every single week. How are you going to deal with that? Your culture isn't established yet. You're in the process of building it, and you could build something very nice. You ain't there yet. So they need to figure that out, because that division's going to be on the tougher side, and AFC in general is going to be relatively tough this year. So when it comes playoff time, especially with in terms of their head coach, with their head coach,
Freddie Kitchen.
Yeah, Freddie Kitchen. There you go. Him against Belichick. No, stop. Him against someone like Tomlin. Stop. Him against someone like Frank Reich. Stop. Against someone like Bill O'Brien. I would still take Bill O'Brien coming at. There's a good amount of teams, so you need to realize you're painting that target on your back bigger and bigger and bigger with every single comment that you have. Now, if you're able to, to cash the checks that you're trying to put forward right now, yeah, more power to you. But if you're not, be prepared for the backlash.
Yes. And the thing about Baker Mayfield is the biggest reason he had success in his first year is that he's a really, really accurate quarterback. His accuracy is off the charts. The problem is I question his maturity. I mean, he went after Hugh Jackson last year. He now is going after the Giants fans this year. I mean, he went after Colin Cowherd too. Is he mature enough to be a great quarterback? Do you have the poise? I think Sam Darnold, yes, he didn't put up the numbers last year, but I think Sam Darnold has that poise, and I think Baker Mayfield doesn't. That's why I think eventually Sam Darnold is going to be a better quarterback.
I think when he went after Colin Cowherd, I could understand that, because I don't agree with what Colin Cowherd was saying personally. Now, him going after Hugh Jackson, okay, I could someone saying after he takes the job, but after the year, it's done. It's done. Stop. We're done here with that. Move on. Now, it's up with the Giants. You need to, personally, as a Patriots fan, I like it because I'm not a fan of the Giants. I never will be after Eli. But you need to realize the fact that you need to realize who Odell is. He is a guy who is ultra talented, maybe one of the best if not the best talented wide receivers in the league.
I mean,
but
he's not the best receiver, but he's one of the most talented. Yeah.
He has an ego for days. He is a little out of his mind. How are you going to control that? Now, the one that I do like with Baker is how cocky and sure of himself that he is, that when Odell gets a little annoyed, maybe he was open, Baker didn't throw a ball, he'll put Baker will put Odell in his place. Like he'll be, I feel like, be able to control Odell.
Yeah, but is Odell really going to listen to him?
But then
That's
it's going to be the off the field stuff with Odell. Is like, you know, when Baker's not around, is he going to be able to keep Odell under control? Now we shall see. But Baker right now it's trying to write some checks, and now he's got to cash them.
Yes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Browns end up doing this year. So to wrap up our NFL talk about some of the Madden rankings, and we'll show some of you. I'll give some of them to you. Aaron Donald 99, no surprise. DeAndre Hopkins 99, Khalil Mack 99, Bobby Wagner 99, Antonio Brown 98, Julio Jones 98, Luke Kuechly 98, David Bakhtiari 97, Todd Gurley 97, Patrick Mahomes highest rated quarterback 97.
Not surprised after
Von Miller 97, J.J. Watt 97, Odell Beckham 96, Tom Brady 96, Fletcher Cox 96, Travis Kelce 96, Zach Martin 96. Next year, and this is a surprise, 95. He can't even get to the quarterback. He's great against the run. Earl Thomas 95, Trent Williams 95, Ezekiel Elliott 94, Travis Frederick 94, Stephon Gilmore 94. I think that's the highest rated corner.
Jalen Ramsey's the highest.
Ramsey, I think he's 96, right?
Yep, he's like two or three above Gilmore.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill 94, Phillip Rivers 94, Tyron Smith 94, Adam Thielen 94, David Del Castro 93, Stephon Diggs 93, Zach Ertz 93, Saquon Barkley 91, and then Keenan Allen, you saw his rant, 89, and then what was Aaron Rodgers? Was he in the 90s or?
I think he was a 90 exactly.
Ooh, that's a low one.
He was. Out of all the quarterbacks, he wasn't top five. I think he was either about 6th or 7th for quarterbacks.
I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, though, even though he's 90. And then the one Giant fans are not going to like, Eli, the lowest rated starter in Madden, 72. What's your thoughts on the Madden rankings?
Well, I mean, Eli, kind of should be right there with the worst starting quarterbacks. I think Aaron Rodgers. I think he should be about 6 to 7 in terms of quarterback ratings, but I feel like his rating should be a little bit higher though, because some of the ones I feel like were a little disrespectful. Like there was, I think Carson once was something about like in 82 or something like that. I feel like he should have been a little bit higher. I feel like Keenan Allen should have been a little bit higher. I'm not surprised that Mahomes was the highest rated one, quarterback. I mean, one, he is a cover athlete, and plus he just won MVP, so I'm not surprised. Although he asked me if I had to take one, I'll still take Brady, but I'm not surprised that he's the highest. I feel like the highest rated rookie that I saw was Quinnen Williams from Bama. He was, I think, like an 80 overall. I'm not surprised he's the highest because he's supremely talented and going to be a very, very big piece for the Jets. I think, let me see, DeAndre Hopkins, I'm somewhat surprised that he was the highest. I thought there would be like a couple people that were going to be 99s, although from what I've heard, they mess with what goes into the overalls, like what percentages, so it's somewhat changed. I'm Bobby Wagner, I'm fine with. Khalil Mack, I think obviously. Aaron Donald, yeah, he has to be. Dude's freakishly good. In terms of Madden rankings, I could see some like people where like Keenan Allen was obviously upset about this stuff. I think like players they take it a little bit to heart too much. Like you gotta realize, like, listen, it is what it is. Like you gotta not take it to heart nearly as much as what it is, but. Then there's certain teams, like I think the highest rated team was the Eagles. I think the second highest rated teams, I think it was a tie between the Cowboys and the Saints.
And I think that's it. The Cowboys, come on now.
Yeah, and then the Patriots were the 4th ranked team, if I'm not mistaken. So that was interesting. I guess I'm okay with the Eagles because obviously they have talent, in a ton of places. The Cowboys, I'm like, I don't agree with that, but whatever. The Saints, I'm okay with because they were one of the last 4 teams. They made it to the NFC Championship game. Probably should have been a Super Bowl. So I'm okay with them. Patriots, I feel like the Patriots should be probably the one of the top 2 teams. They won the Super Bowl. They were one of the final 2 teams, but now they're 4. Whatever. But I think overall, there's some things they could have changed. Overall, it's like some people could have been higher. Like the one person in particular, like Daniel Jones, I saw was probably one of the most lowest rated people that I've ever seen drafted that high. Because I'm a big time Madden junkie. I play an unhealthy amount.
That's why we talked about it today.
And normally, people that are that get drafted high are rated high. Daniel Jones, like, what pick was he?
He was the 6th pick in the draft.
And
normally, but he shouldn't have been the 6th pick. He should have been like a second round.
Yeah, normally people that are drafted that high are probably, I would say, somewhere about to like 80 to 75 range, roughly. And the fact that he's like a 60 something, I mean, even Madden's showing that he shouldn't have been picked there. But there's some freakish, like, athletic people in there. Like someone like Lamar Jackson has like 94 speed at quarterback, is insane. Kyler Murray, I think, has like 91 speed at quarterback. It's insane. And then I think you can obviously guess who the fastest player in the all of Madden is. It's Tyreek Hill, 99. But I don't know. The Madden ratings, it's always cool. I love being a big Madden junkie when it comes out. I love to see, rookie ratings, what they think of rookies, what they think of, players. Like, I always love to see how high they put the cover athlete, because normally the cover athlete is almost like essentially always a 99. Like when Brady was on the cover, he was a 99. I think when Gronk was on the cover, he was a 99. Sherman was on the cover, Madden 15, he was close to 99, if not 99. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, it's 97, so I mean, it's, right there. I don't think they could put him there after just one season, although his season was phenomenal. But I don't know, it's cool. I like it. I like the Madden rankings. Someone like, now you need to like chill a little bit. It's not that serious.
No, not at all. So we are going to transition into baseball, and big series this week for the Yankees. They played the Rays. They have a 6-game lead on the Rays. Doubleheader. They have a doubleheader today, and I think if they split this doubleheader, they're going to win the AL East because they only have 2 more games left with the Rays. It's not like they have a lot of. And that's the thing. When you don't have that many games left, it's tough to really pick up ground. So I think if they split this doubleheader today, and they got Herman, who's pitched really well going in the first game, they'll probably start an opener in the second game against Charlie Morton, who's the AL Cy Young Award winner. But if they split today, I think, and split with the Rays this week and have a 6-game lead, I think they're going to win the AL East. And the biggest story though between the Yankees and Rays this year has been how terrible the Rays bullpen has been against the Yankees. Their bullpen's having a great year. They're second overall in bullpen ERA. But against the Yankees, they've been terrible against the Yankees, and it all started even before they blew that three run lead when they played on in May, and it was 3-1. It was 3-1 going to the 9th inning, and then the Yankees scored 4 runs and ended up winning 7-1. And here's the thing: the Rays have 3 times the Rays have had the lead entering the 8th inning. No, there've been 3 times the Rays have had the lead entering the 8th inning of a game against the Yankees, and they've lost those games. It started that. Remember that game in the middle of May where they had that 3-1 lead going into the 9th inning, and then they gave up that 3-1 lead, and they lost. Yeah. And then you remember on July 4th where they had that where the score was tied. They gave up 4 runs in the 10th, and
it's painful.
The next day they had the lead going into the 8th inning, lost that game. Then the next day, that Saturday, they had the lead going to the 9th inning. Hicks tied it with the home run, but they ended up winning with a game-winning home run. Mm-hmm. And then we remember even on Monday night when Chapman blew the save. That's another story with what's been going on between those 2 teams this year. When Chapman blew the save, the Rays gave up a 2-run homer at Encarnacion, and then we remember the game Tuesday, the last game they played Tuesday night, 3-2, 2 outs. Aaron Judge at the plate goes opposite field. His biggest moment as a Yankee this season. And Judge and Didi had their biggest moments as Yankees this year on Tuesday night. Judge had the 2-run homer to give the Yankees the lead, and then Didi hit the grand slam to put the game away. Yeah. So they had their 2 biggest moments, and this Rays bullpen has completely struggled against the Yankees, and it just continues. I think it's in their head. I think the Yankees are in the Rays bullpen's head.
Yeah, I think the last game when the Yankees ended up winning 8-3. Colin Poach, I'm pretty sure you pronounce the last name. He gave, like you said, they had 2 outs, and then proceeded he pitched 1 in 2/3 inning. He had 4 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and only had 1 strikeout. And in fact, that all of their runs they scored in that 8th inning all came with 2 outs. Like Judge, the pitch before he hit that home run was almost a home run too. And then the fact that you give him would look like, because I watched it over a couple of times, it looked like they gave him almost the same exact pitch that he almost just hit for a home run. I don't understand why, with a right in the bat, with the power of Judge, with like the short porch in right field, why you've given him like almost the same pitch, because he drilled it even farther than the first one went. And then when Didi comes up, drills the grand slam. Now that pitch was out of the zone. It was high. It was out of the zone. He just destroys that ball. I think, to me, with Didi, he has become, other than to me, with my favorite player on this team is Aaron Judge. But Didi right now is second, because I remember when he was supposed to be Jeter's replacement. And obviously Jeter is beloved by Yankees fans. He is one of the most beloved Yankees, period. And I think people were like, who is Didi? Who? Huh? Like, they were expecting kind of like the shiny name to come in, like, who's the next big star? Let's trade for him or get him somehow. And they got Didi, and I felt like, we're kind of like, who's this guy? I mean, I'll even say I was a little like, I'm not really sure who this guy is, but let's see how it goes. Didi has now become one of the most beloved Yankees on this team, period. I think he's right up there with someone like CC and with Judge, because every time, when he hit that grand slam, he got a current call. And when he came back after his Tommy John surgery, people were chanting for him, clapping for him, and just giving him lots of love. So right now with the Rays, like you said, I don't understand what it is come late game with this bullpen in the Yankees. Like you said, it has to be something there in their head in some form. How they got there, I don't know, but it's bad right now, because the fact that you give up 6 runs when there's 2 outs, how can you not get a single out at all? I don't get that.
It all started with that game.
It's so brutal.
It all started with that game in May when they had a 3-1 lead going to the 9th inning, and they blew that game.
It's like, I really don't understand that, because it's like Judge got Judge ended up getting a home run. That place goes, crazy, for days. Then Luke Voigt comes up, hits a single. Urshela, comes in and runs for him. Sanchez doubles down the lineup, just fair, and somehow got in the slide, at second. And obviously, they're going to intentionally walk in Encarnacion because you want to force out any base. Didi comes up, grand slam, game over. It's like, I think at that point, that's one of those games where if you're the Rays, you're going to look back on it, because they're going to be battling, with the Red Sox for a while, wild card spot, see how that works out. Let's say it doesn't work out. Maybe even if you still, in the wild card, you're going to look back at a game like that in particular and be like, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt deep, because, like you said, 2 outs, you left 6 runs with 2 outs. You cannot do that ever, especially when a division game that's this important in the second half of the season. You can't let that happen.
No. And that's why if the Yankees just win one of these 2 games, they're going to win the AL East. I mean, a 6-game lead with only 2 games to play. And the Yankees are the better team than the Rays. They have the better bullpen. Definitely. And they got the better lineup, clearly. Yes, starting pitching the Rays might have, especially the Rays might have it because Morton's having a great year. And if Glasnow gets healthy, they might have it. But outside of that, the lineup and the bullpen the Yankees are clearly better, and they've won 10 out of 15 games from the Rays this year.
Yeah, and Dylan Betances isn't even back too, so that bullpen, when he comes back, is going to get even better.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to wrap up the show talking about the Open Championship, and here are some of the odds for the Open Championship. Roy McIlroy is the favorite at 8-1. Brooks Koepka is second Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson second at 10-1. Tiger Woods is 18-1. He's fifth. Justin Rose 20-1. Francisco Molinari 20-1. Ricky Fowler 25-1. Patrick Cantley 25-1. Justin Thomas 25-1. Jordan Spieth 40-1. Amazing how that guy's fallen off from a couple years ago.
Yeah, especially when he choked that one. I'm trying to think what the tournament that he choked, but like, I don't know, like a double or triple bogey, and then just ever since then it's gone downhill.
Yeah. Jason Day 40-1. Paul Casey 50-1. Sergio Garcia 80-1, and Patrick Reed 80-1. Do you know Phil's is he playing in this tournament? I'm not sure if he's even playing.
Let me check. I won't be surprised if he was, because just it's Phil Mickelson. He seems to actually, because this is a big tournament. I don't feel like he's gonna be. He might not have started yet, honestly.
Yeah, we'll see, but still, I mean, I think the British Open. I mean, it'll be interesting to see who wins this. I think it's gonna be McIlroy though, if I had to make a pick.
Like right now, Phil Mickelson. Right now, Phil Mickelson is 5 over par.
Wow.
Currently, so, and Rory McIlroy. Let me try to scroll through where he is. But last I heard, when I was on my way here, he actually wasn't doing terribly great. Although he actually holds the course. From what I heard, he holds the course record when he was 16 years old. He scored a 61 at this course, which is just insane because the fact that weather's always weird at this place. But right now the leader is S. Lowry. I'm sorry, I don't know his first name. He has currently 4 under par. Sergio Garcia right now is tied for second with about 6-7 other people with 3 under par. But the thing that on Jordan Spieth, he's finally doing good. Hallelujah. 3 under par. He's one of the people tied. With this course, always rate is that because it's like right there, season, like the water's right there. The weather is always weird because you would maybe it'll be raining 1 second, then it's sunny, then it could be back to raining, being heavy with the rain and all that. And one thing that could become big is that Brooks Koepka,
yeah.
Sorry, but just butchered that name. His caddy has been. He's like a member at that course in some form for forever. So the fact that he's already one of the top players in the game, and now your caddy has such immense knowledge of this place when not many people have that much knowledge. That the later rounds, I feel it's going to pay big dividends because people are going to, start probably overthinking stuff when it comes, to the big shots at the end, and he's going to have the knowledge from his caddy of okay, we're at this hole, shoot it like this, or at this hole, shoot it like this, or maybe you don't have to force it here, we can get it back at at this hole, let's say. So I feel like that's gonna play big. And right now he's he's tied with about 5-6 people with 2 under, so technically he's tied for 9th, but there's a ton of people tied. He's only 2 shots back. So right now he's in a good spot. He's only about halfway through his holes in this first round.
Yeah, it's very early at the Open Championship, and we will be following that all throughout the weekend. So this is going to wrap it up this week for sports on Sports Talk with RKJ. For my co-host Kyle Galuli, I'm Steve Risser. I'll be on vacation next week, so we won't have a show. So we'll be back in 2 weeks talking MLB trade deadline and training camps opening up in the NFL. Have a great weekend, everybody.